Texas Tech loses 80-67 in the first round of the NCAA Tournament to the Wolfpack of NC State. I'm joined by Asustin Massey of the Scarlet and Black Insider here on this recap video where the Raiders season comes to an end up in Pittsburgh after I think to say the least, a disappointing loss, Austin, when it comes to the Red Raiders. And we were live throughout the whole game. The comment section was lively. We'll get to it here in just a second. But overall, what are your thoughts about this game? Because, again, we've got the scoreboard up. People can see some of the stats. What really stood out to you about this game for the Red Raiders and quite frankly, just a very, very disappointing loss?
Yeah. First off, very disappointing loss. Credit to NC State. I thought they played very well tonight. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. I said that all night. They pretty much controlled the pace of the game all night too. Defensively, I think that they played much better than they played for a lot of the season. They're not a very good defense statistically. Just bullied Texas Tech, quite frankly. The front court of NC State, I mean, even to say dominated RC, I think would be an understatement. Like it was a complete demolition in the front court. Burns, Middlebrooks, Diarra, they had their way with Texas Tech. There's just literally no other way around it. You could point the finger at all, these different Texas Tech players, but at the end of the day, they wanted it more. They played a lot harder. They had more dudes that made plays. And Texas Tech just kind of put up a dud of a performance in a time where really they couldn't afford to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, we talked about it a little bit, but you just brought it up as well. The performance of not just the bigs, because a lot more goes into it when a team just thoroughly outclasses you in the paint, like North Carolina State did. Texas Tech, that's still on the guards too, to some degree. Really just an overall team defense. I just thought Texas Tech was, I mean, to keep it blunt, just really fucking bad at just making them uncomfortable defensively. It felt like NC State, outside of maybe 5 plays, was just very comfortable the whole night, right? Yep. Getting to their spots, not with ease necessarily all the time, but it felt like ease. And then when they do get there, Texas Tech is out of position in the sense of whether that's the bigs, most notably the guards, because I thought the guards really struggled in the sense of helping some of the bigs. Now, the bigs just most of the time struggled, and you just look at the stats. I mean, again, Diarra, Middlebrooks, and Burns, you look at their totals together. I mean, we're talking about damn near as many points as the Red Raiders scored as a team.
Yeah.
Just from those 3 guys. And so that's the thing that stands out. And then also, you really just could not afford to have your worst shooting night of the year. Yeah. For reference, North Carolina State, as you can see on your screen, shot 38.5% from 3. You shot 38.7% from the field. Okay? That's not going to cut it. You weren't aggressive at all. It felt like at times you were very, very stagnant and just okay with the tough contested shots, whether that was from Pop, whether that was Chance, Darrion, the list goes down the line. That's really what stands out to me from this Texas Tech loss. And we're about to get to some questions here in just a second. But before we do, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you want to stay in the know on Texas Tech men's basketball all year long. We are going to have you up to date on everything transfer portal here when it comes to the Red Raiders. And as we know, it's modern college basketball, so the transfer portal is a must know. We're not only going to keep you up to date right here on the Back to 12 podcast, but go head on over to the Scarlet and Black Insider where you can subscribe for 1 month, and it's $1. We're going to keep you up to date on everything. Jacob Harris, Austin are already doing a great job on that. So if you want to stay in the know on Texas Tech men's basketball during what's going to be a crazy portal period for the Red Raiders, and we'll talk about it here in just a second in terms of all these questions we have in the comments right now, you can do so over at the Scarlet and Black Insider.com. Again, first month is $1. All right, we're going to switch up the background here real quick. for us. And there we go. Sorry, you have to see our up close faces now. Specifically mine. I won't apologize for Austin. That's more of a hidden thing if he wants to apologize. All right. Let's get to the comments here, though. We'll spend about the next 10 minutes talking these questions, and then we're going to head out of here because, let's face it, it's about to be midnight. I want to go to sleep at the time of this recording. I'm old. I'm about to be 30 for those that watch this thing. All right. We'll start with Grant. He asked, what's our NIL fund look like? Money is the name of the new game. Excuse me. Austin, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Texas Tech's in a great shape in NIL front. I talked about it earlier at halftime. The Matador Club is doing really good things. Guys, Grant McCasland had to hire an entire fucking staff on top of recruiting players, on top of trying to retain players, on top of all these other things. Like, stop. Come on. Like, let's be realistic here. Grant McCasland did a damn good job in his first offseason. Please tell me another coach that would have come in and done any better with this roster. I would love to hear it. My honest outlook on the NIL front, though, is Texas Tech's in a great shape. I think that, head on over to the Scarlet and Black Insider. We've already posted every single person that Texas Tech has reached out to. They are going after guys with size, that are physical, that are old, and that can rebound. Do you think that is by coincidence? No, it's not. This team has a clear problem being physical. They have gotten roughed up by physical teams all year. There's a reason why Houston has dominated this team every single time we play them. There's a reason why Iowa State dominated this team. There's a reason why UCF was a really tough matchup. Cincinnati, those are all physical teams. Texas Tech has struggled with physical teams. Guess what? NC State played damn physical tonight. So as someone who covers Texas Tech and recruiting, I think you will see a shift this offseason. I think you will see Grant McCasland specifically go after length. I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to kind of state that. Go after length, go after getting older and just getting better, stronger on the boards, getting stronger in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really the versatility aspect, I think you're going to see them go after a lot of guys. And that can move into our next question in terms of what does it look like in the portal aspect of it. I know you already started some of it. I mean, I think you're going to see them target more guys like Devin Cambridges and stuff like that. Now, obviously, those guys are going to be hot commodities. And that's where NIL comes into play, but also the fact that, again, Texas Tech has proven, Grant McCasland has, that he wins everywhere he goes. That's going to be appealing. And with the resources that Texas Tech has, they'll be in a good position to land some really, really good, talented guys. Now, who goes into the portal? I mean, the game just ended at the time of this recording. Who knows at that point? I do want to say this, though, about this team this year, because you talked about it in the sense of Grant McCasland. I think they overachieved. There's no doubt about that. But we got to talk about what some of these guys went through injury-wise, too. I think people forget Pop Isaacs was fighting through lower body injuries all year, right? Robert Jennings, he was literally a month late to starting camp because a hamstring injury. Okay. Like, again, I'm not trying to say that injuries are or make an excuse or anything like that, but I do think that is something to consider here. And they still did this. You lose a guy that's a starter. Okay. And Devin Cambridge, he does not play a single second in the Big 12. Then you lose Warren Washington for 7 games, technically 9 because he missed one with the flu, or 2 with the flu, I think. So you got that. Okay, so you lose 2 of your starters, not to mention Darrion and other guys battled the flu. You had that, 3-4 game stretch? Like, to get here was downright damn near like a miracle almost in a way with the talent that this roster possessed. And again, people will call it an excuse. I really don't give a shit. I think that these guys balled out this year, and you have every right, fans, to be upset with the performance in the first round. You should feel whatever you feel that way, but know that Grant McCasland and crew are going to better this roster. Some of these guys are going to be back. I mean, it is what it is. Who knows at this point in the sense of the portal and NIL and everything like that. It's just, hey, man, like it's frustrating. This is a frustrating loss. But CP asked, what's your expectations for next year? I think this roster is going to be much improved. Obviously, health has to go your way. That's first and foremost. I think that this, Austin, I feel very, very comfortable saying this. The next year's roster will be much better than this year's. Because now you think about it, and again, sounds like an excuse, and people weren't happy about it. But McCasland came into this job late. Remember, he went into the NIT. He took the job really, I believe it's a year ago today.
Yeah, no, not even RC, not even
a year ago. Okay.
No, I don't think the NIT finished till early April.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. So he was late on it, got his coaching staff late, but there was another question in here talking about the coaching staff, Austin. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think this is a great coaching staff. I hope it stays together. Now, obviously, things change, and we know the coaching carousel happens even with assistants as well. But I think when it comes down to it, like, this is a really good staff, and I think McCasland and crew are going to get a lot more size, as you mentioned. And I think that this roster is going to vastly improve, and you're going to see some guys return. You're going to see some guys go in the portal. That's the nature of the beast. But I do think one thing is abundantly clear. Abundantly clear. Be upset. I'm 100% for it. Absolutely be upset with that performance. But Texas Tech got the guy. And that's the biggest thing, is they got Grant McCasland, and that's a big deal in my opinion. And this coaching staff is good as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's an elite coaching staff. You know, everyone can sit here and put in the comments excuses. Like, all right, like, so what do you guys propose? Fire Grant McCasland tonight? Is that you think that's what we should do? That's an absolute joke. I can't take people like that seriously. This has been a good season. I think it's fair to say, hey, was the roster constructed properly? No, it wasn't. But guess what? There were no bigs in the portal last offseason. That's literally a fact.
You got one. He failed a medical. People forget that. Like, yeah. Also, by the way, you complain about them not having size. You realize if you would have got that other big, you don't have Joe Toussaint. You got to think about this. Connect dots, people. Like, in that regard, who would you rather have, a backup big or Joe Toussaint? I think the answer is very clear. Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
No, you're right. No, I'm just saying, guys, like, no one's making excuses. We're just simply trying to outline why Texas Tech lost tonight, and not simply just blame individuals, because this is a team sport. The coaching staff got beat up tonight. The team got beat up tonight. But when you really look at it, like, this team had major deficiencies. Like, there's a reason why Texas Tech gave up an insane amount of 10-0 runs all season this year. Like, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why Texas Tech had to come back. How many games, RC, this year did Texas Tech come back in the last 5 minutes and win when they were down like 9 points? It happened. I know for a fact it happened against Kansas State, and I know for a fact it happened against TCU. You probably should have lost both those games, like, just being dead honest. This team overperformed for the roster they had. That's the only point I'm trying to make. Yes, they sucked tonight. Like, tonight was pathetic. There's no other way around it. But I'm just trying to say, my outlook moving forward is there's a lot to be positive about. I think that McCasland has to regroup. They have to look at what their flaws this year. What were their flaws? They were not very good in the front court. They got bullied on, physically. Those are two things I would expect them to shore up this offseason, and there's really not much else to that. Yeah,
no, I wholeheartedly agree. I think if you think we're making excuses, that's just one of the things where that sounds like you got to deal with that on that front. I think we're just being real about it and not trying to be homers, just trying to be objective as well, at least as much as we possibly can in that regard. Stupak TTU says it's legit that we got to 20-plus wins. Yeah, I mean, you have a winner in Grant McCasland. Again, be upset at that performance at Texas Tech, like that they had against NC State. Be upset. You should. 100%. Be critical of the players. Don't call them names or anything, but, like, Pop is going to be the first one to admit he played bad. Like, what else do you want him to say? How is he going to change it, right? I think that the key point that you brought up there, Austin, that I think is critical is the self-evaluation aspect of this from the Texas Tech standpoint, in the sense of the prior coaching staff would not have looked themselves in the mirrors and said, we have to change some of our philosophies, they would have stayed in the box and said, no, these players have to adjust to us. This coaching staff with Grant McCasland, however, goes in and says, okay, we have what we want to do. We're going to go try and recruit that. But we're going to let the players dictate to us what we need to do. And they did that all year to the best of their abilities. Perfect example, in my opinion, is RJ. I mean, a guy that, listen, again, probably a guy that will be the first to tell you probably didn't have his best game tonight against NC State. But look at his development and Kerwin's development. Like, those two guys just succeeded drastically with Grant McCasland in terms of their role, right? I just think it's one of those deals where realistic expectations are key, and I understand that fans don't have them a lot of times, and that's hard to do. And listen, I get it wholeheartedly. I really, really do. Tech has the right guy. They're going to be super aggressive in the portal. They're going to go out and be self-aware, go get guys. Are they going to get every guy that you want? No. Be ready for that. You're going to be upset like, damn it, Kansas got a guy I wanted. That's going to happen. But you have the right guy in Grant. Be upset about this loss, as you should be. They, lost a chance to really have a chance to go and play in the Sweet 16 in Dallas. Instead, it'll be Oakland or NC State. This from Grant. This will be the last question, and then we'll wrap it up here. What do y'all expect from the portal? Who stays? Who goes? Chance and D5 to lock in for next year because transfer rules, ... Right? That from Grant. Austin, you want to address that one?
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, someone on Twitter who's at the game and was in the press conference, post-game press conference, actually, I'll pull it up really quick. But actually, there was some news announced that, Chance McMillian actually stated that he's going to be back at Texas Tech. He's planning to come to Texas Tech next year and use his 5th year of eligibility. Pop Isaacs also said he expects to be back next season. That's according to Cole Banker of Red Raider Nation, KMC News. So again, I mean,
that's
take it all for that's huge. That's huge. I mean, that's
those are all Big 12 type players.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we can have these different philosophical debates all night long about, oh my gosh, Pop's the reason we lost. No, it's not. Go look at the front court. What did you expect? Pop to guard Middlebrooks, Diarra, and Burns all at once? Like, no. Come on, guys. Defense obviously crushed us tonight. Yes, Pop wasn't very good offensively. But the reality is Texas Tech's got to get longer, man. They got to get more physical. They got to get some dudes. Like, let's go back to what that Texas Tech team that made the Final Four in the national championship. What was that team, RC? They had dudes that could get buckets, but they were freaking physical, man. And they would beat you up. You know what I mean? Like, they took it to you. This team doesn't take it to you. They really haven't done it all season. They had a couple good defensive games all year. Yeah, Pop can't defend, but he's one of the best scorers in the Big 12. He wasn't that great tonight. But Pop's not supposed to be an all Big 12 defender. Grant McCasland has to surround Pop with other guys that can play better defense. Kerwin Walton, not a good defender. Darrion Williams is an okay defender. Warren Washington, not a good defender. I agree, John. 2 athletic bigs away from a championship team. I completely agree. You really need to get a center this offseason. Just to go back to RC's point, you need a center this year. Preferably someone that's athletic, that's strong in the paint. Warren Washington is kind of this springy, kind of skinny center. I don't think that fit what this team needed this year necessarily. They got him. Obviously, he was great for a good amount of the season. But you need a center. I think you also need a driver. Like, let's talk about that. Like, tonight, Texas Tech kind of got bullied by NC State. You need a guy that can attack the paint. You need that, like, Zurich Phelps kind of guy or Milos Uzan kind of kid that can attack the paint, that can finish around the rim, that's strong, athletic. You didn't have that is the moment Devin Cambridge went out. So look for Texas Tech. It's really not rocket science, guys. Get more athletic, get taller. That's literally it. Get a couple guys that can play defense, and I really do think that Texas Tech will be in a good spot. If you bring back Pop, you bring back Darrion, you bring back Chance, you bring back Rob, Emily. Guys,
I'm telling you right there, like, just from a Pop, Chance, and Darrion perspective, that's an elite foundation in the Big 12.
Yep.
Like, I don't care what your thoughts are on Pop. I don't care what your thoughts are on Darrion. I don't care what your thoughts are on Chance. Like, tape don't lie. Some of them can be frustrating more so than others. I get it, but they're all Big 12 type players. And Pop proved that this year. So did Darrion, and it would not shock me if Chance is. Now, Austin brought up the length aspect of it. I think a high priority in the portal for Texas Tech as well has to be a lead guard, because I think Pop is much better off the ball. I think Chance is much better off the ball. So I would love to see them attack a veteran type guard that, has got 2 or 3 years experience in college basketball. But I'm telling you right now, again, a lot of things can change in the portal, right? A lot. Guys can say they're coming back and then they don't. But if you do have Chance McMillian, Pop Isaacs, and then Darrion Williams, you'll figure the fucking rest out. I'm telling you that right now. That is an elite foundation. You're going to have 2 guys on there, and Pop Isaacs and Darrion Williams, that will be preseason all Big 12 players, and maybe even Chance too, depending on how that goes in terms of his projected role, right? So again, I get the frustration. I really, really do. Austin and I will have more conversations like this. We've been on for 4 hours straight now. I haven't taken a bathroom break. It's crazy. I don't know how I did that, but it is what it is. I appreciate everybody tuning in to the live. And for those that aren't watching this from the live perspective, are watching it the next day, we're at 8,700 strong right now tuning into this. So I really appreciate each and every single one of y'all. It was a ton of fun. Austin, you got anything on the way out, man?
No, I one last comment. People were like, hey, all 3 of those players aren't good defenders. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think Pop is a very high level defender. I think Chance is formidable. Darrion, I think, is really good. He's just been asked to kind of guard. He's kind of had to overextend himself this year defensively than what
he's the guy that was taken out of his role when Devin got hurt. He was the big guy, and he still succeeded.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Darrion's very good at defending guys in the paint. He's not very good if you get him moving like vertically defensively. So guys, the whole point is you surround your playmakers with defenders. Like it's not rocket science. Once again, go look at all the best teams in the country. They have guys that can score, and they also have defenders. Like it's really not that hard. It's the same formula that Texas Tech got to the national championship with. They had scorers in Matt Mooney and Jarrett Culver, Moretti, and then they surrounded them with defenders, right? Obviously, some of those guys could play defense as well, but ideally, guys, go look at who Texas Tech's are already reaching out to in the portal right now. They're all lengthy defenders. And that's exactly what I would expect McCasland to go after. So I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah. Speaking of Matt Mooney, you can go listen to my interview with him over on the Scarlet and Black Insider. Your first month is $1 over there. And we're going to keep you up to date on everything transfer portal for Texas Tech as soon as it happens. Jacob and Austin are on top of that. I'll help in as well. Be making videos about everything you need to know. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And if you're on Twitter, you can go follow Austin at Austin Massey SBI, and you can follow me at RCMB323. Again, a 4-hour live. We peaked, Austin, at over 9,000 people at one time. Red Raider Nation, even in a night that didn't go Texas Tech's way, absolutely showed a ton of love, and we appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. We'll have plenty of portal coverage, and it won't start tomorrow, or well, it will start tomorrow. I was going to say it won't start in a week. It'll start tomorrow. I should probably get my words together. It's been a long 4 hours, man. But appreciate everybody tuning in. He's Austin. I'm RC. Thanks once again for tuning in to this live broadcast where the Red Raiders season comes to an end with an 80-67 loss to the NC State Wolfpack. Texas Tech and Grant McCasland, albeit ending on a sour note, his year number 1 out in the 806 was nothing short of a success. We'll catch you next time here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.